Hello. So I wanted to do a quick run through of how I created this artwork and some of the things I learned about it through the process. So yeah, this is the final result here. I was pretty happy with it, although it could have used some more polish at the end, but so how I started was with Blender's grease pencil, and I found that's a pretty fun way to come up with super rough concepts really quickly. So I ran through, the theme for the contest was Ancient Robot, so I was working on some like rusty old robots and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I really liked this character here, and so I created him in a scene. I was just thinking about how would a robot charge in ye olden times, so I had like a water wheel going into his head that was like generating electricity. It was a fun idea, but I came up with another one that was of robots building the Stonehenge, which I thought was a really fun idea. So I sort of rolled with this a bit. I blocked it out in Blender, and I came up with this actually a little bit later just for fun. And I thought, well, she's kind of like building the Stonehenge as well. That was sort of an idea that I had in my mind that I wanted to work on. And yeah, so I came up with this, and I thought, well, that's a great idea. I wasn't really sure which one I wanted to do, the robots or this robot, but I just started working on building a background, because I knew I had to rush last time when I was creating a background, so I wanted to have it pretty well fleshed out by the end, which actually didn't happen eventually, but so these were some ideas I came up with. I was just sort of working it. I wasn't really liking the stones, like the shaders and the textures of them all at this point, but I was still messing around with it. I threw in some of the green magic stuff you saw earlier. This stuff, I was just sort of doing tests because I had no idea how I was going to do that in the end, but this was a cloth simulation and stuff. I didn't really like that. And at this point I started working on my main character, just fleshing it out. I sort of liked the idea of like metal plates on the outside and a detailed exoskeleton, or not exoskeleton, a detailed skeleton on the inside. So I was just working on that, and I dropped it into the scene. Here's some more detail on the inside parts. So when I put it in the scene, I was, as you can see here, I was trying to work on the stone textures and stuff. It still really wasn't looking very good in my opinion, so I sort of just scrapped the background. And at this point, there wasn't really a story to it or anything, and I was kind of discouraged about the background. So I sketched out a whole bunch of sketches. And what you see here took me about 3-ish weeks to work on, and I kept the character but just scrapped the background and made a whole bunch of sketches. This one was the one I liked. Some robots like fighting each other. That one's getting stabbed through the head, and this one is missing his head. But it was like a fun story. I liked the dynamicness of this composition and everything. So I started like working in that direction, but this was the only part I had, this character. So I needed one more character and a completely new background. And this was Sunday that I created this sketch. And the deadline was Wednesday, so the proportion of the work was pretty skewed. It ended up being a bit of a hustle at the end to get it all finished, which is one of the things I learned I'd like to do better at. So this is the other character. I finished this one pretty much, or at least this picture, on Monday night. And here's another. I beefed it up a bit on Tuesday. So I had to clear out all of my Tuesday to just work on this project because I had left it for so long. So much work was left to do. So yeah, I was working on this guy. As you can see, I posed him, added a bit more details. Here's the sword element. And I did a super rough block out of the scene and went from there. As you can see here, the character is all posed up. That wasn't too bad. But I had this whole background that I had to do in one day, as well as finishing this character and posing him. But I got that all set, and yeah, we're back to the finished result. So yeah, that was a lot of work for one day. I relied a lot on Kitbash elements, as you can see here, up here, the chords and everything. And actually these trees were from CG Geek's realistic tree assets, and there's some grass from the Grass Essentials down here. So I really relied on those packs to put something cohesive and nice together. A lot of the rough objects are still in the background here. Like I said, I wasn't completely happy with the result, but I was happy enough. One of the things that really helped, again, was putting this mist in the background, which helped separate the foreground from the background. That was really encouraging when I put that in. So yeah, the major lessons I learned was to use my time more effectively, do more work up front, and less right on the deadline. Alright, so here I am in the project scene, and I'd like to tell you real quick about the second thing I learned, which was about color management. And before, I think in my last artwork, it sort of fell flat because I recently got a new monitor that was, it's very bright and vibrant, and so when other people viewed my work, it was really dull, I think, because I had worked on it in a station that was really bright and vibrant. So I found a good way to actually sort of even that out, and let me just find it here. So if you look under color management here, and you change the look to, actually, view transform to false color, everything goes crazy, but the basic idea of it is red parts are overexposed, and blue parts, or some other color. Let's see, what is the other color? Black is underexposed. So, what you want is you want basically your focal point to be somewhere in between that. So I think gray is the ideal color. So I had a lot of gray parts on my focal points here. There was a little bit of clipping, but I decided I would just go with that and have the majority of the scene in an exposure that I liked. So doing this, the beauty of doing this was when other people view it, it's an alright exposure on whichever kind of screen they have. So I found that as a really beneficial thing to learn. If you want to learn more about it, Andrew Price recently had a video on it, which I'll link in the description, and that was really helpful for me. So yep, that's pretty much it. All of this video. Yeah, cheers.